Hello and welcome. This is Haripriya Suryaban from the Hindu Business Line. Joining us today is Amit Nawka, Deals partner and startup leader at PwC. Today we will be discussing PwC's report insights on the startup ecosystem that went for the year that went by 2022. Welcome, Amit.
Thank you so much, Haripriya, for having me on your show.
Great. Amit, tell us a little bit about 2022. What was the funding value like? So we see. Can you state what was it like? What was the value and what was the decline or the increase that you saw?
Yeah, sure. I think these parameters very closely tracked by the whole startup and the investor ecosystem. 2022, the calendar year 2022 saw close to $24 billion being invested into the startup ecosystem in India. And if you compare it to 2021, you see that there is a 33% decline. But looking into the numbers further, you find that the total amount of 24 billion in 2022 was in fact 2 times or 2x the total amounts that were raised in the year 2019 and 2020, which was roughly around the 10 to 11 billion dollar mark. So while you do see a decline in 2022 as compared to 21, but it's still very, very big as compared to 19 and 20. So, when you delve into what has happened in 2021, why there was a 35 billion investment, in that year, I think that's predominantly, coming out of COVID. There was a rapid digitization. A lot of startups came in, leveraging on that whole increased digitization, and hence a lot of funding came in. The public markets opened up at the same time. So it was a situation which obviously very hard to replicate year on year. So one may think about 2021 as more of an aberration, and 22 is possibly like a natural increase, which we are able to see by the numbers that it is still 2x of what we saw in the previous years. But the interesting thing, the other interesting thing that we see is that while the total value has fallen by 33%, the total number of companies that got funded did not decline as much. You had close to 1,100 companies getting funded in 2021. That only declined to 1,000. So this just about a 10% decline in the total number of companies. So basically leading to the average ticket size falling of a deal. The total value has fallen, the number has not fallen as much. That leads to the average ticket size falling. So I think that's just a cycle, as most people consider it in the industry, which should sort of try and recover in the next 2 to 3 quarters.
Understood, Amit. Amit, what were the sectors that saw higher traction? Which were the sectors that the investors were interested in?
So if you look at the startup ecosystem in India, as well as the number of unicorns that have been made, there are 2 sectors which are outliers. Number one, SaaS, and the second one is fintech. And these 2 sectors are quite interesting in their own way. Firstly, coming to SaaS, SaaS companies has actually managed to get more capital in 2022 as compared to 21. The total funding in that sector actually grew by 20%. And, I just mentioned that the overall startup ecosystem funding declined by 33%, but SaaS as a sector actually grew in the total capital which it attracted. And SaaS as a sector is very unique. Most of the companies in the space are actually startups in India for the global audience. Much of their enterprise customers are located in the overseas market, as compared to any other sector where most of the other startups are Indian startups for Indian consumers. SaaS is growing very well. India is rapidly making its presence felt in the SaaS market. Total funding touched about $6 billion in 2022. Fintech, on the other hand, is the second largest sector that like to attract funding, and second largest base of startups in that space. There we are seeing some very large deals being struck, in the recent quarters. Companies that are very close to profitability or are already profitable. But overall, we saw a decline in the total value funded. But fintech is coming of age in many sectors, such as payments, such as lending. We will see much more activity in that sector in the coming year.
Understood, Amit. Amit, what is it like for the concentration of cities? What does the report say about that? Are startups still very concentrated in the tier one and the metropolitan cities of Bangalore, Mumbai?
So I'm based in Bangalore, and Bangalore continues to be the startup capital of India. It has the most number of startups, closely followed up with NCR and Mumbai. So these top three cities would be, ballpark 75%, 75% of the total, funded companies in India. But outside of these top three cities, what we are seeing is that Chennai, Pune, and Hyderabad are actively coming up as ecosystems where startup activity is being seen. And what we're also seeing is that many of the companies in these three cities, Chennai, Pune, and Hyderabad, many of these companies are actually in the Series A stage. So they are recently funded. So there's an opportunity for such companies to grow. And once they grow and become big and more unicorns come out of there, like it has happened in the more, like the bigger cities, that, the CXOs come out of the unicorns, they form a new company, and that gets funded, and therefore the ecosystem grows even further. So I think Chennai, Pune, and Hyderabad are other cities to look at outside the top three.
Thank you so much for those quick insights, Amit. Viewers can look at our story based on the report for more insights. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Haripriya.